Hello and welcome to Spark Joy Astrology. My name is Joy and welcome to my dining room table. Typically I'm outside enjoying nature, but it just rained and hailed like crazy. So the ground is nice and saturated and therefore I find myself here. So hello and welcome to the breakdown, the major aspects happening on Sunday, August 27th, 2023. Well, first of all, I want to send you all a big dose of love because I do know that we are working with a challenging aspect, one that actually we started feeling on the 26th. So Saturday, but one that came into exact alignment this morning, starting our aspects off at 2:28 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. The sun at 3 degrees of Virgo opposed Saturn in Pisces, who is going retrograde. When we have the sun, which is our vitality, but also represents fathers and really our life course, the path of our life, comes into contact with a challenging aspect in opposition to Saturn. Saturn representing the opposite of the sun, the darkness, the constriction. In Hellenistic traditional astrology, before the outer planets were discovered, Saturn was the depths of how far we knew planets went to, meaning it represented the darkness. So when this aspect comes together, we are really looking at authority, Sun being that authority, father figure, and Saturn also being that wise, grand energy of wisdom. So here we have tests, friends. There are power struggles that abound, and I like to think of it as the Jedi versus the Sith, this darkness and the light going at it for a few days here. From the 26th to the 28th, we have this karma battle happening in the cosmos that can definitely involve your dad or just maybe authority figures in your life. So tests around maturity, lessons from your father, vitality maybe checked with the sun and Saturn opposing it. So illumination around ego versus responsibility. Where do you feel constricted in your life? There is definitely this light versus dark going on. So in this aspect, we can come into some really dark understandings, like maybe this is a juncture in one's life where they decide to become sober. They've seen the darkness and it's been illuminated with the sun, and so they make that choice to reach out for help, to get a therapist, so on. But there is this trust element when Pisces is involved, and Saturn retrograde here is asking us to have this inner trust, this deep level of connection, because Saturn can show up and be a bit cynical. So we must shine the light, the vitality of the sun on these days to really work through what could be fearful. These are tests, friends, tests of trust, tests of faith. Okay, as we move on, we move into a really a big flavor change. At 7:19 a.m., Mars moves out of Virgo and into Libra. So into this air sign, this masculine sign, and Libra is definitely one that is analytical and likes to find harmony in relationships. It is ruled by Venus, and so it has this flavor of love and relationships. And if you know the Librarian symbol, it is a woman holding scales. So always working to seek this balance, and especially through the filter of relationships. So as Mars, the warrior, comes into this Venus-ruled sign, he's not oh so comfortable, friends. He's not quite happy here. He likes to fight. So when he comes into Libra's home, he starts to fight for things like love, for balance, for harmony, for peace, which is a beautiful thing, really, friends. It's actually quite gorgeous because we have Venus, who rules this house now that Mars is in it. Venus is in retrograde motion. So now Mars can really fight for her, fight for that balance in relationships, which I find to be quite beautiful. This is also, if you want to look at it, as a sensual combination, because you do have Mars, who represents that passion and that sex drive, in this Venus house of relationships. So it can be a spicy aspect. And this happens, Mars is here until, let's see, October 11th. So having some spice in the air when it comes to Mars fighting for relationships is kind of lovely, friends. But this is, the fact that it is Venus housing Mars. They themselves, Venus and Mars, don't actually make any direct contact while Mars is in here through aspect. Degree-wise, but they do house-base-wise make a sextile. So there is some Venusian harmony flowing between the two of them, even though they are not directly seeing and speaking to one another. Okay, friends, now we move to the next aspect, which is, actually, I want to back up and just say really quickly, as Mars moves through this house of Libra, he will make two really interesting aspects during the cycle. And the first one will be making an opposition to Chiron. So there should be some action around healing, around maybe even teaching past pains that have been healed, but there will be action. And then we will also have Mars coming into contact with the South Node. This is the end of September, first week of October that this will happen. And this will definitely be a soulful release of something, friends. There will be a rebirth following that. So that's some big Martian energy working through Libra. All right, now we move on to the next aspect. At 8:57 a.m., the moon at 15 degrees of Capricorn trines Jupiter at 15 degrees of Taurus. Two feminine earth signs that these moon and Jupiter characters are reaching out through a trine together. This is really harmonious, good vibes, friends. I don't know, actually harmonious isn't going to be it, more about expansive vibes. So, but benevolent, goodness, generous energy, open to have visionary experiences and conversations, adventurous energy at this particular time in the morning. And this actually does, so even though it comes in at 8:57 a.m., we start to feel it at 7 a.m. and then it starts to wane off at 11 a.m. So I actually had breakfast with my dad and hung out with him for a bit, and we had really expansive conversations about the fractal nature of our personalities and how as above, so below, that as above part could be looked at as the divine creator and how we are all sparks and fractals of that divine creation. So we got into that big convo, friend, that expansive, Jupiterian, wise, let's talk about the grand creative process of the universe and how it all works kind of energy. So very wonderful time at, between 7 and 11 a.m. to get deep, to get big, to tap into your inner guru. And then at 3:27 p.m., this ranging feeling between 2 and 5 p.m., the moon at 19 degrees of Capricorn squares Chiron at 19 degrees of Aries, and he's going retrograde. This is tension with emotional pains, traumas. So here we can have these needs, this emotional tug and war on us for security, that we are having challenges when it comes to having to get outside of our comfort zone to meet those needs. So definitely challenge, friend. We can see wounds from the past, insecurities, but see them in a whole new way. Maybe this square gives us that tension to where we can really see what's in front of us. So trusting our intuition as we work through this, knowing that the moon is guiding us through the pain so that we can illuminate them. And then Mercury is where our next aspect happens. Mercury has gone retrograde this last week. So the ability to look inward at this pain that's coming up from 2 to 5 with our intuitive guidance is really strong. At 6 p.m., feeling it from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m., we get this power up of the sun, or rather moon, at 21 degrees of Capricorn trining Mercury. Retrograde, still at 21 degrees. We are working with that tradition, that Sabian symbol of the crest of arms, and it's embedded with jewels. So this deep desire to connect to our own lineage, and Mercury is helping us to tune into our ancestors so that they can help us heal past pains and traumas that have actually come down, handed down from generation to generation to us now working it out. So they are helping us, friends. And with this Mercury retrograde, this is the second aspect that it's made during the retrograde process. The first one was to the moon with a square. This one is a trine. So we had the challenge. Now we get a little bit of reprieve. So this is balanced, grounded energy. Both of these are earth signs, so that grounded quality is really nurturing. And we have the ability to balance our emotions, moon, with our intellect, Mercury. So this intuitive, emotional balance is beautiful, and it really allows us to have some strong communicative skills on this evening. So beautiful time to communicate not only with yourselves, but with your ancestors, alive or dead, because they are able to sprinkle fertilizer on the awareness around the patterns that we are healing with this Virgo stacked house with, Mercury, who's home there, really working it out with Pallas Athena. They're only 1 degree apart. Pallas Athena is that go charge strategic energy. So this fertilizer, breaking breaking old cycles and allowing that awareness to really massage out the old crap, friends. So have great conversations. If you have ancestors available, they will help you shine light on parts of yourself that maybe you're not able to really, pinpoint with words. So communicate, friends. Break old pain, break old trauma cycles, and integrate that shadow, because that's what Mercury in Virgo is all about for these next few weeks with this retrograde. All right, last aspect of Sunday is at 9:21 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, so feeling it from 7:30 to 11 p.m. The moon in Capricorn at 23 degrees trines Uranus at 23 degrees in Taurus. He is stationed here. Uranus has been hanging out at this point because he's getting ready to go retrograde tomorrow, friends. But at this point, he is 5 degrees away from Pluto, or rather the moon is 5 degrees away from Pluto. So she's going to be conjuncting that tomorrow as Uranus goes retrograde. So definitely some potent energy in the cosmos, friends, tomorrow. But this particular aspect in the evening gives us the ability to align to our emotions, moon, and our intuition, moon, with these big view, expansive, adventurous qualities of Uranus. So this healed version of ourselves, right? We worked with Chiron earlier in the day, so we're able to kind of see what we need, where we're being, asked to do more healing. So as you see this bigger vision, this grand view of your future self, you can see the healed parts because we've identified what maybe needs some healing midday today. So, all those exiled parts, right? Those pieces of us that we fracture out when we are hurt because of whatever happened, trauma, pain. We don't want to acknowledge those pieces. This cycle, this beautiful Virgo stacked house, healing into wellness, is about integrating these parts of ourselves, friends, pulling in these exiled pieces. If you know anything about the internal family system, or IFS, as far as therapy use, it is incredible, but it also speaks to astrology. It really hones in on different aspects of our personalities and how we all have these different parts. And it really is beautifully aligned with the archetypes of the planets. So if you don't know what IFS is, my partner's a therapist, so I get to know all these fun things. I nerd out big time on them. And I highly recommend that you maybe Google IFS and check it out yourselves. But we are definitely working on healing into a wholeness state. Virgo represents that wholeness. So, in the grand scheme of things, with Mercury going retrograde there last week, a lot of the check-ins with the moon and everything are around this internal revolution that we are having. There are so many planets that are going retrograde. We're going to talk a little bit more about all of those once we get to the Uranus retrograde. But oh my gosh, friends, this is a revolution in transformation and up-leveling in your life. And Pluto squaring the nodes, which he still is definitely asking us to step into that new empowered version of you, this deep inner transformation that is becoming tangible. You know, we're starting to feel like us speaking our truth more, stepping into our power more. So very exciting things there, friends. All right, now we're going to move on to the next day, which is Monday, August 28th, 2023. Here we go. Starting it right off with the moon squaring the nodes. Between 2:26 and 4:33 a.m., the moon's nodes, the south and the north, are oscillating. And so the moon is making contact with them for a good amount of range. Really, we're going to feel it from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So as we are sleeping, friends, we might have some intense dreams. Moon squaring the nodes. This is deep subconscious work that we're working through. And it's challenging because it's a square. So tension around our past and our future. We could be having dreams from past times, bringing up past characters. So we may need to be asking ourselves how we can look at healing past regrets so that we can move forward into the future, see those regrets and transform them into lessons, become stronger and better for this future. So it can definitely be an emotional roller coaster in our dreams. And the moon is moving into a T-square with Pluto and conjuncting into Pluto. So Pluto and the moon will be together and they'll making those squares to the south and north node. So it is a red triangle of tension, friends, a T-square. Tension, tension, tension. This is definitely wonderful that we're sleeping when all this is happening, because I think our subconscious is being activated in our dream state so that we can, work through this with a bit more grace. All right, at 3:29 a.m., the moon moves just a few more minutes into that 26th degree of Capricorn and makes a sextile to Neptune, who is retrograde in Pisces at 26 degrees. What is interesting here, friends, is that we've spoken to the T-square. Well, Neptune is also making aspects to the north and south node through a semi-sextile and a quincunx, which mean adjustments. So even though we have this lovely sextile that is harmonizing and balancing the moon and Jupiter, we have these subtle adjustment energies that are happening to the north and south node, our fate and our past. So here we have this intuitive creative spark. That's the sextile. To make adjustments, that's the quincunx and semi-sextile, to things that feel murky, that's Neptune. And the tension of the T-square is allowing us to see that clarity where Neptune could potentially create murkiness. So there's illuminating dreams that are happening during these times, 3:29 a.m. Okay, next aspect comes in at 4, I missed a number there. I have 4, 5, and then 4 a.m. So I'm not quite sure, but I did write down the range, which is 4 to 7:30 p.m. I'm sorry, friends. I don't know what to tell you. I think I get excited about what this actually is, and so I went to what it is rather than the time, because this is when the moon comes into conjunction with Pluto. At 28 degrees, they come together in Capricorn. Pluto is going retrograde, working on this inner transformation, and we are getting intense, friends. When the moon has been with the north node and south node, those points of fate and purpose where they are lunar points, so that subconscious energy is then amplified with the sextile to Neptune and then a conjunction to Pluto. This is really deep, intense energy early on in the morning. But because it is in Capricorn, there's a groundedness to this powerful knowing that a deep transformation is underway. It is slow. Pluto is slow, but we are feeling it when we wake up that, something happened in our dreams to let us know that there's some intensity about, but we're maybe feeling some tension around what still maybe needs to be worked out. Capricorn holds Pluto going retrograde all the way until October 10th. He'll retrograde to 0 degrees of Aquarius on this date. So interesting things afoot in Capricorn here as the moon traverses the very end. And then, friends, at 8:31 a.m., she moves into Aquarius. This is interesting because at the beginning of this month, we had a full moon right at the start, and it was in the house of Aquarius. So now, before we get our second full moon in this month of August, the moon is checking into the house of Aquarius first before she makes that. Okay, go honey, thank you. I am watching my child. So far she's been so good, but yes, we might get interruptions. I'm inside getting interruptions even. It just doesn't matter where I'm at, friends. There's always a show behind me. But anyway, very interesting that the new moon, or rather full moon that happens in Pisces on the 30th, on Wednesday, before that moon moves into Pisces, quick check into Aquarius. This rational check-in. It was like, all right, so how'd the lunar cycle go? We had that full moon at the beginning of the month in Aquarius. Now we're back to the full moon, but in Pisces. So what has culminated, what is finished, what is done, that we can rationally check in. This is a masculine air sign, as I said earlier. I don't think I mentioned that was Libra earlier, that was masculine air. So is this one, but it is ruled by traditionally Saturn, and then in modern astrology, Uranus, which are kind of opposite energies, which is what I find just interesting about Aquarius, is it seems to have a lot of juxtaposition. But this fixed energy of Aquarius helps us to get into it, friends. It's adverse to change, but really likes to get stable in it. So what the opposite spectrum of it is innovation. Okay, thank you. Mama's doing a video though. Okay, I smell the candle. I can't have you interrupt me, baby. Thank you. All right, friends, back to it. Masculine air sign ruled by Saturn and Uranus, the opposite, friends. Uranus is radical, visionary. It's a grand collective energy, seeing the cycles of the grand collective, and also innovation and evolution in that collective. So freedom and emotional checkedness, if you will, because it's more about that analytical expansion. But this is a beautiful time to visualize new possibilities, to use that emotional charge of the moon to tune into the grand possibilities out there. At 9:39 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, the moon at 0 degrees of Aquarius makes a trine to Mars, who just moved into Libra yesterday, right? So here we're able to tap into that inner drive, Mars, and ambition to steer our life into the directions of our goals, of our wellness, of that, Venus going retrograde energy, where Mars is now supporting that fight for love and balance and harmony. So a beautiful energy to turn that fire on when it comes to fighting for those that you love. And this will feel from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So kind of a nice little emotional uplift into some good go-do energy on a Monday morning. Kind of lovely. Our last aspect, friends, ends the day at 23 degrees, Uranus at 8:38 p.m. all the way in the evening. Stations retrograde. Whew, here we go, 23 degrees. This is where I will actually break down the degree with the Sabian symbol. I'm going to read it to you, friends, today, just because I really found that this one was kind of beautiful. So at 23 to 24 degrees of Aquarius, the Sabian symbol is: a man having overcome his passions teaches deep wisdom in terms of his experience. And from the lovely website, jamesburgess.com, he says about this degree: those of us who have taken a significant step towards deepening our level of maturity have a role to play in the development process of others who have taken fewer steps. We are able to explain what is happening and what to do about it to another as they encounter similar challenges to what we have experienced. It is implied that there is a duty to assist another if we are able, as they struggle with a problem that we ourselves have already overcome. So basically, friends, this is like Chiron, who's going retrograde, right? The teacher, like we've been there, we've learned, and now we can also teach it. But that's where Uranus is going retrograde at. So this degree is now asking us to go retrograde from this 23 mark down to 19. And we started this whole Uranus retrograde phase all the way back in May 12th of 2023. That is when Uranus was at 19 degrees, where when Uranus is finished retrograding, we'll stop at and go direct. So the pre-shadow phase began on May 12th, and now today on August 28th, he'll go backwards all the way back to that 19 degree mark. And on that 19 degree mark, that'll be January 27th. That's when the retrograde will end. Then from that 19 degree mark on January 27th, he'll move all the way back up to the 23rd degree of Taurus. I'll be done in just a minute, okay? And this is May 12th of 2024. Friends, I have to share a story with you because it's so fun in my own chart. Uranus is in my 9th house, and on May 12th, 2023, I was traveling in Costa Rica looking at different retreat centers to bring my beloved yoga tribe here in Colorado to paradise, to Costa Rica. And I scheduled my retreat for May. Hey, okay, you don't have to, but can you please be quiet or just sit here? Thank you. This is Aspen, everyone. Okay, so on May 12th of 2024, I will be finishing my first retreat. It'll be at the very end of that experience. So how beautiful that, 1 year at the beginning, I was looking for the retreat center, and in the future, when it ends this beautiful cycle, I will have just been finishing the retreat. Whew, gotta love that, friends. So when planets go retrograde, they are actually closer to the Earth, and we're really able to feel them even stronger. Uranus is the lightning bolt, revolutionary, evolutionary planet who liberates, who breaks free, who makes you see your authentic self and break through any patterns that are preventing you from being that. So it's a power up, friends. And this is beautiful in releasing blockages, old patterns, really upgrading into the next version of you. And what is interesting about this, friends, this change of him going retrograde, is that he joins so many friends that are already going retrograde. There is a deep inner revolution of allowing the universe to work into us through this inner, examination. We have Venus, who is actually going direct next week and kind of doing a do-si-do with Jupiter, who will go retrograde as she goes direct. But Venus is retrograde right now, so is Mercury, Saturn, Pluto, Chiron, and Neptune. So a lot of retrograde planets going on, friends. But that is a good dose of what's going on for the 27th and the 28th. That Sun opposite Saturn is certainly stirring things up in this cosmos. So wishing you oh so much love and joy, and I will see you hopefully outside, back at it tomorrow. Sending you oh so much love. Mwah.